Matt Lenihan for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and R Kings. Always a pleasure to be joined by Eddie Hearn. Eddie, big fight week in New York. Looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
massive. Yeah, it's a great fight. I think a real crossroads fight. Obviously, Hitchins is looking to make a statement, and this kid's from the same kind of school as Tio and Shakur and Keyshawn and Tank, and he's got a chance at Madison Square Garden to really make a statement to the world. And for Kambosos, looking to repeat an incredible moment at the same venue where he beat Teofimo Lopez to become undisputed and try and become a two-division world champ. So Hitchins goes in as a strong favourite, but don't rule out Kambosos. He's a live dog and he's got the bit between his teeth.
Where does the winner and loser go this fight? Obviously, you see the good fights in the division. You've got the Puello fight coming up with Matisse. You have Dalton Smith obviously waiting in the wings for the winner. Adam Azim's obviously floating around. Some big fights made. What happens for the winner and the loser in this fight?
I mean, for Richardson, like I said, I think that people, we've seen with His Excellency's tweet this week about the Tom and Jerry, and Hitchins is definitely not a runner, but he is, as by his own admission, a kind of masterful boxer. With Cambosos, I think it's the style to make a statement and to be aggressive in there. And I think that's what he needs to do. There seems to be a pressure around fighters at the moment to fight like that, but also you don't want to give up your attributes. And for Richardson, he's a great technician as well. So I think for Richardson, a win and then move on to a unification. Puello's fighting Matthias. The winner fights Dalton Smith. A lot happening around the division at the moment. Keyshawn moving up probably to 140 as well. So a big fight for the 140-pound division on Saturday.
Let's move on to them comments. I want to ask you about this. So it sort of created waves online about a lot of people for it, a lot of people against it, saying, well, fighters aren't going to just change the style just to suit people because you know yourself, defeat and can set you back like snakes and ladders sometimes boxing. Although your stock can rise if you have a bloodbath with someone, A, it can take years off your career. You don't want to be in too many of them fights. And B, if you can win easy, like Richardson Hitchins
Yeah, yeah.
can box till the ears come off, then why necessarily, unless you have to, would you
I agree.
engage?
Yeah. I mean, like the common sense would say, that this is a tough game and I can go in there and I can win this fight comfortably. Now, can I stop them? Possibly. Can I win every round? Absolutely. Like, it's very difficult to go to a fighter and say, mate, I need more from you. I need, like, but I would never say that. But what we know is, and now people are saying it publicly, if you are not entertaining, you will not sell. You will not put bums on the seats and you will not drive viewership. Now, it doesn't mean if you're not a come forward fighter and stand and trade and have wars, we will not work with you. Of course, we want elite operators. But of course, people want real fights. People want entertainment. I mean, you just saw in front of 65,000 at Spurs, two guys that went in there in Eubank and Ben that put their heart and soul into a fight, and you got one of the greatest fights we've ever seen. Now, was it pure boxing? Was it elite world level? Not really. It was two guys that didn't like each other, that are world-class fighters, that gave you a war.
Mhm.
That shit sells, right? So for Richardson, you can't take away his attributes, especially at elite level. Like there's two sides to it, Matt. Number one is when fighters are overmatched and they're a massive favourite, I want to see you take more chances than you would do if you were at elite level for a world title,
Mhm.
right? There's no excuse why you shouldn't go in there, be aggressive, and dominate this guy and get him out of there. When you step up, like you imagine saying to Richardson now, right, mate, you're fighting Cambosos. I really need you to go out there and have a war, mate. Like, just go out there, stand toe to toe. And he's like, what? Like, I'm gonna box this guy's ear off, and then I'm gonna try and stop him. But let me do my thing, you know?
Mhm.
So it's interesting because from a common sense perspective, I get it. But this is also the entertainment business.
Is that where you've got to bring something maybe then on the outside of the ring? People look, I think people almost forget Floyd Mayweather had two sides of his career. Pretty boy up to a certain stage, moved to welterweight, hands got a little bit brittle, and he just used his boxing smarts and IQ. Now, I don't think he was, people, some people say he ran. I don't think he did. It's
But Matt,
boxing,
let
box
me
and
stop
move.
you there.
But
Right? This is really straightforward, right? You change as a person and you change once you become more comfortable in your life, once you secure your legacy, once you become financially secure,
Mhm.
everything changes, right? Doesn't matter if you're Floyd, uh, Canelo, maybe even AJ and Fury. Like when you start, you're fearless. You don't think about the dangers of boxing. You don't think about the after life, of boxing. And I think now a lot of these guys will go, well, listen, if I can win easy and put no miles on the clock and get paid, it's not the end of the world. Now, if I have to go to the trenches, I will do it. But it's not a place I want to really go right now. Like, and that's where I think Canelo's really got to
Yeah.
in his career of really being like Floyd, maybe a little bit more business-like, and it's become a business where it's like, don't get me wrong, Canelo's got big balls, he's got big heart, but if he doesn't have to use them, fantastic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that was, I think, when we promoted Canelo against Triple G3, it was almost like a fight where both guys go, core, those first two took a lot out of us, didn't they? You know, we're going to be a little bit smarter here. And like everyone was waiting for it to explode.
Hmm.
But that's not, I don't think you can criticize someone for that. Why would you want to go in there and have that fight that shortens your career or physically puts you in a dangerous place? But everything's different, Floyd was the master of that. Floyd was like, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to make several tens of millions of dollars and I'm going to box his ear rolls off, not get touched. And then I'm going to hit the strip club later. Thank you. Life is sweet. That's Floyd. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I'm saying if you have that personality outside the ring, like Richardson's a good talker, can that counteract some of the actual what's going on in the ring? Because obviously publicity sells. If you're a big enough
Yeah, for
name,
sure.
can
But
take away
you're
from
still
that.
underwhelmed, aren't you? Like I feel like Mayweather was the master of, I mean, I feel like Eubank Sr. was a little bit like that, and we promoted him. Like, don't get me wrong, like the build up, the monocle, the motorbikes, the ring walk, all of this. And then when he got in there, he weren't the greatest fighter in the world. Don't get me wrong, when he was called upon, he
Yeah.
was tough as nails. But Eubank Sr. What I just said to you was also Eubank Sr. all over. Can I get in there? And I think Eubank Senior, my father said to me once, I think he said to me, I have thought to myself that if he doesn't punch me and I do not punch him, I will win because I'm the champion. He actually said that to my dad once. So there you go. That's the mindset of now. Chris Eubank was tough as nails. And when he was called upon,
Hmm.
he was a warrior, but he'd rather not be called upon. I make him right, by the way. I think that's common sense.
Yeah.
But some fighters at different stages in their career are just ready for an all-out war because they'll do whatever it takes to get to the top. But when you're at the top, it's very difficult to just go in and have war after war after war, you know?
Yeah. I want to go back just a little bit to the undercard. Obviously, some lot of talented fighters on there. Adam Maca and Sam Jones
Yeah.
and Ariel Helwani. These two look like a match made in heaven. Said he'd fight Inoue straight away.
Yeah.
And not
Beat
only
him.
said that, he
Yeah,
says,
yeah.
yeah, I beat him. What do you make of that? Obviously, he's got to make a splash. It's his debut, but there's some words.
Yeah. I mean, we have, I think everyone talks about rosters and, who's got the best roster. If you look at the fighters that we have coming through right now, I think globally we're going to be untouchable over the next 2 or 3 years. Like, look at the opportunities we're giving these guys. Adam Maca is 18 years of age from Brighton, making his professional debut at Madison Square Garden. Terra Moana, he's so nice they named him twice. 7-0, 7 knockouts, fighting at Madison Square Garden. Nishant Dev, the guy that's going to run down through the walls of Indian boxing and change the sport, is fighting at Madison Square Garden. Zaquin Moses. Like, this is the opportunities that only we can deliver for fighters. And Adam Maca, when you talk about excitement, and I think all that controversy and Turkey stuff of we want entertainment and we want this, you got three guys there in Terra Moana, Adam Maca, and Nishant Dev that you are going that just fit that bill perfectly.
you say fit that bill. Could they fit the bill on the Crawford undercard
Yeah,
potentially?
His Excellency reached out to me the other day and said, what matchroom fights have you got for me? Or what young stars? I said, blimey, how long you got? And one guy, His Excellency is a very smart man. He knows that if Nishant Dev cracks it, he will
Yeah,
change the sport, not just in India, but globally. And Nishant Dev is a guy that could become a future world champion. He's that good. And he's the first ever fighter, in my opinion, from India that has that kind of ability. So yeah, of course, look, I'm exclusive to DAZN. So that's where my fighters fight. But we also appreciate Canelo Crawford is a big platform and we'd speak to DAZN if the opportunity presented itself, only for one of our young guys.
yeah. Look, I want to talk to you about some comments made. I think it was today, maybe yesterday. Carl Froch. Now,
Oh, what he said.
this always seems to. let me get to it.
Yeah.
So the headline just reads: Anthony Joshua is finished, career done. So I've watched the video where he talks about Fabio Wardley's win, and the words he used were Anthony Joshua would be terrified of Fabio Wardley's power. Daniel Dubois effing flattens him. His career is done, finished. Um, it seems like it keeps going around in like circles. What do you make? What do you make of them comments? Because he's doubled down on AJ before. AJ's obviously just had the surgery injury now, waiting for maybe a fight at the back end of this year. But he's come out with these comments again. What do you put that down to? Just for Calvin Carlo?
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I think if that's what he thinks, he's got his own platform, hasn't he? That he needs to create, noise and clickbait and all that kind of stuff. People are very fickle. I mean, before the Daniel Dubois fight, AJ was the biggest monster in the division. He was back. He was so dangerous. He was going to go, and then he got chinned, and it's like, oh, he's over. I mean, there's levels in this. Anthony Joshua is an elite heavyweight. Fabio Wardley's a good fight. I mean, yeah, it was a great finish. He was getting completely dominated, but that's the danger of the heavyweight division. He's a million miles off the level of the elite guys yet. But I think sometimes you got to put a little bit of respect on AJ's name. And I think doubt him at your peril. And I think speaking to AJ the other day, I think he's really motivated and I think he's going to come back with a vengeance. I really do. Like I think this is his last run in the sport. I mean, I sort of said I think it's probably his last year in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Again, who knows? Like you could win, you could go on a run and win 3 fights, and all of a sudden you want to carry on for another couple of years. But for me, put some respect on his name. AJ's changed the sport in this country. He's fought absolutely
Everyone.
everybody, everybody. And Carl Froch comes now from an era where in his day, there wasn't like all these ex-fighters taking pops at people for clickbait. I mean, it would have drove Carl absolutely mental. I mean, it's a bit like, I don't know, when Carl Froch was fighting, I don't know, Ricky Hatton or Chris Eubank Sr. or Nigel Benn coming in and going, Carl Froch is finished. Like after he lost a Ward. Yeah, and then Carl's got to remember those kind of moments. Because when Carl boxed Andre Ward, everyone said he was completely finished. And he came back and he fought Lucien Bute. And what he showed was unbelievable heart, unbelievable will. And he should remember how people wrote him off. And he should remember how he came back with vengeance. And if the world was like it was then, and everybody had an opinion, and ex-fighters were running their own YouTube channels, and they started telling everyone how finished Carl Froch was after it, Carl would have driven around their house and had a straightener with him.
Yeah.
So I don't like it, if I'm honest. And we're all the same team, deep down. Me, Carl, AJ, Rob McCracken, like that. We should never forget what we experienced in the professional game together. And I don't like it. I don't like whatever you feel. For me, those two, and I know they might, well, he left Rob McCracken in it, but it doesn't really matter. I remember that's where a lot of it all started for it. That's when everything changed. You know, that little era changed Carl Froch's life. It changed AJ's life. It changed Rob McCracken's life. It changed my life. So just put some respect on AJ's name and get behind it. You know, if you want to be I'm saying if you want to be a hater, but if you haven't got anything positive to say about AJ, guess what? If you don't like him, you've only got another 18 months or 2 years to put up with him in the professional game. But let me tell you now, every fighter that exists today in this country, or not this country because I'm in America, should be thankful for what that guy has done. And also, he's one of the purest hearts, purest souls, hardest working guys, most genuine people I've ever met in my life. So yeah, keep criticizing him, keep telling him he's finished, and guess what he'll do? He'll get up every day and he'll work as hard as he can every day to prove you wrong. And he don't even need to prove you wrong. I don't think he even wants to prove you wrong. But I'll tell you something now. In the words of the great Kevin Keegan, I would fucking love it if he came back and smashed someone to pieces for the world heavyweight title. Because I'm riding on the AJ coattails till the fucking day the wheels fall off. And I will never stop. Because I know the man, I know what he's about, and he has been. I was thinking the other day, this is a shit business, right? Where there is very little loyalty in this sport, right? And I get it. It's a tough sport. It's a brutal sport. You got to get your money. Like that guy, AJ, has been so loyal to me, our company, and we have done an incredible job for him. And I've been unbelievably loyal to AJ. I've backed him 1,000,000% because I have got so much admiration and respect for the man, right? He is such a great individual. Like I can't say he's got time for everyone. He comes out of that gym, Finchley. There's kids hanging around. He stays for hours talking to them. Like he's such a good guy. And it's like, why do we do it in our country? It's like he's over. He's finished. Fucking AJ shit. Well, it's like, guys, can't we just like we're on our last run here? I look at it like this, there's so many people in our country where it's like they want the demise so bad. Why don't you just flip the switch and go, how unbelievable would it for AJ to go on one last run and finish the most wonderful career with some huge nights and great performances? But these people are so negative and infiltrated with some kind of hate and unhappiness that it's like they're desperate to see him lose. And I just don't get it. I listen, if the guy was an arsehole, if the guy had a bad attitude, if the guy didn't live the life, yeah, I get it. But just respect the hustle and the grind and the heart and the soul of this person that's given everything to the sport. And like I said, when people said Carl Froch was done after Andre Ward, look at what he come back and done. And people criticise Carl Froch. I was actually watching Carl Froch hit the bag the other night, on his thing, and I was thinking, my God, I can't believe what you achieved in the sport because he didn't have that world class, like elite, say IQ, but he was all blood and guts. And Carl Froch was one of the most toughest, ferocious people. And even though Carl's criticised me, you never hear me saying anything negative about Carl. I love Carl Froch. I always say, you want to go out to battle with Carl Froch. One of the toughest, most ferocious, tenacious fighters I've ever worked with. But, there were times where Carl looked like he was done. But when he boxed Butte, and even when he boxed Groves in the first fight, it was this and these. You can't see. I'm grabbing my nuts. That is what Carl Froch had. He was the toughest bloke I've ever met in a sport. So, you know, but we live in that world, that clickbait world, where like it's like if you talk about like look at the other night, I just did a piece with Addy and Ariel, and I said 2026 will probably be AJ's last year in sport. Jeez, it's in every newspaper.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh my God. Like you and that's what it takes. So if you talk about AJ, it's everywhere. And he's chose to say negatively, AJ's finished. For me, you don't have to go there. But each to their own.
Let's finish on a positive. That Manchester card stacks now. Some unbelievable last minute additions. Joe Cordina,
Mm.
Sky
Yeah.
Nicholson. I've just seen as well. You've added another one I think come through post just loading. You see the card's ready to go. I'm pleased here that these sort of
Yeah,
last
I
minute
mean, look,
additions. It's a good
I mean,
card.
look, firstly, Catterall Eubank is a great all British fight. Really big night. Back at the AO, big night for Manchester. I'm so pleased and excited to see Joe Cordina back because this guy has got so much talent and he's been a little bit, not so unlucky. Look, he lost to Anto Kakachi. I felt like he got hit on the break and it was time for him to move to super feather. But what he did with Agawa and Rakimov, he's a two-time world champion. And he had the Shakur Stevenson fight. Then Shakur got injured, and you know, I think we never fell out, but his contract was up with us. He said a few things. We said a few things. I actually had a chat with his dad, you know, because I felt like, we were like his dad said a few things and it needed that little bumping of heads to go, guys. Like, and he said to me, look, I don't want to leave Matchroom. I want to finish my career with you guys. I started my career with you guys. I believe I can go on and win a world championship at lightweight and become a two division, three-time world champion. And I said, Joe, we love you. I think you're an unbelievable fighter. And if you look at that lightweight division right now, obviously Keyshawn's moved up. You've got Sam Noakes against Abdullah Mason, great fight. You've got
Brilliant.
Shakur Stevenson, who's definitely the king of the division right now, good fight against Cepeda. Andy Cruz fights this weekend on our Richardson Hitchins card in a final eliminator against Mashiro. That's going to put him against Muratai, so Andy Cruz will become world champion. Joe can compete with all those guys. A little bit of a dangerous Mexican, if I'm honest, on July 5th, and we've been there
Been
before,
there
but
before. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But great addition to the card, like you said. You got Fiaz against Gomez Jr. It's gonna be a great. Leo Tang makes his professional debut. Pat Brown, Sky Nicholson returns as well. It's a really good card, July 5th in Manchester, and looking forward to it.
100%. Well, look, I look forward to seeing how this unfolds over the weekend. Appreciate you giving us some of your time, and we'll catch
Cheers,
up when
mate.
you're back. Cheers,
Cheers,
bud.
Matt.
Thank you.
See you, mate.